This is the Weekly Scramble, a place where we chat about life over a cold one or two. It's time to belly up to the pod with Mike Frattallone and your host, Chris Reuvers.
That's right. It's time for the Weekly Scramble. My name is Chris Reuvers. By my side, his name is Mike Frattallone with Frattallone's Hardware and Garden Centers. Hello, Michael.
How you doing, Reuvers? I'm a little bit excited.
Why?
Discount Bud Light. Right?
Well, we should explain. So our roots in doing the show together go way back to when we did the beer show on 1500. Mm-hmm. And we've kind of evolved because we just didn't want to solely focus on just beer, even though that comes up from time to time. And
we want to talk about wine and liquor.
Today just happens to be one of those episodes where we are going to talk about not only beer, but the act of branding. You are a guy that's been in business for quite some time, and you get branding. You get marketing.
You've branded I know Joe is the king of Garage Logic, but you're really the branding machine behind that.
Sure.
Right? And I was the branding machine behind Frattallone's. But the story with Bud Light is unbelievable.
Would you classify this as... Is it tone deaf, out of touch? What would you classify
I would
this
say
as?
both of those things, but this is the equivalent. Actually, it's probably bigger than the New Coke fiasco. It very well could be. Remember
what
Coke?
Refresh me.
Years ago, back in the 90s, I'm making that time period up, Coke came out with a new formula for Coca-Cola.
And everybody hated it.
It's the new formula, Coca-Cola, and they came out and everybody hated it. Well, Bud Light decided to, because they have this marketing VP who wanted to update the inspired fratty outlook of the brand, like fratty in quotation parts, like fraternity brother. And so they put a gentleman named, a transgender female named Dylan Mulvaney, right? Mm-hmm. And this person's been living as a transgender woman for a year. And they put her image on a bottle of Bud Light and wanted to be more inclusive.
Now, remind me, because I want to nail down the specifics so we're not accused of whatever. But was this for a specific event? Because I don't drink Bud Light, and I don't plan to anytime soon.
I think they were just celebrating Dylan's 1 year as a woman.
But this wasn't just in one market or whatever.
Nope,
this was nationwide.
This was nationwide.
All right.
And it's going to be... virtually every rule of brand building and marketing, they say, was broken in this, right? Yep. They took their number one brand and in one stroke, this one female VP, and I don't care if she's female, but she just happens to be a female VP of marketing for Bud, and she wanted to update it away from the frat boy feel. And she said, we wanted to be more inclusive, more progressive. And I thought, why would you take the risk, whether you believe that's the right thing or not, right? Mm-hmm. Let's pretend that part doesn't matter, whether we think it's right or not. Why would you take the risk with your brand? So the entire marketing team's been hatched. They're all gone. Everyone's gone, right?
Including this woman that was featured in the video.
But so they had draft sales are down 58%. Bottle sales are down 70%.
Wow.
On Bud Light. So there's video after video of these Bud Light salesmen going into liquor stores, and they're writing 0 orders because no Bud Light selling. It's just sitting on the shelf. And Miller Lite's gone, Coors Light, Busch Light's gone, and Bud Light's sitting there. So it is, I don't know who said, yeah, let's do this. Because you don't have to do that. Bud Light didn't have to make...
Somebody had to give it the green light.
Yeah, they could have just kept the cans blue and just poured great tasting Bud Light into cans. But they didn't. And there's a great story. They said there's this bar that has this big darts league sponsored by Bud Light with 100+ players every Thursday night. So they normally pour 495 12-ounce pours, right, every night. Last week, they sold 4 12-ounce Bud Lights.
Wow.
So their sales went 99% down to, this is going to be studied in marketing classes all over the United States on how to destroy a brand in one simplistic marketing campaign that really that story, I don't know if it needed to be told from Bud Light, right? I can see you want to do certain things, you want to be respectful to everybody, but what a crazy thing that someone would say, let's try this. And boy, we just destroyed a multiple billion-dollar brand.
When I saw the story surface, however long ago it was, a week or 2 weeks or whenever it was that this story first surfaced, I wasn't necessarily outraged because I don't give a damn if Dylan Mulvaney is featured on a beer can. That's not going to change my buying decision because I don't drink Bud Light to begin with. But what I was eager to see is, Well, because the first thought I had was they're committing suicide by doing this. And so then I'm glad you brought this up because I debated about whether we should talk, because I don't care.
It's not what they did.
Right.
It's just the thought of like, why mess with something that has a common, everybody loves Bud Light.
So that's where I was going, because to me, and then of course this video surfaced of this woman basically saying the quiet part out loud.
Yeah.
And I thought, okay, well, here's what this was an example of. You bringing somebody in from the outside world that's a quote unquote marketing expert and having zero idea who your base is.
They need to have drinkers like you and me saying, how should we sell more Bud Light to you guys? Make it $1 cheaper. That's what kind of marketing campaign?
Yep.
Sponsor more Ultimate Fighting. That's the stuff that I would pay attention to, maybe. But to say we're going to throw something that on the bottle, this image of this person, which again, I don't care either way.
Don't care.
But it's like, why? Your core audience is not that person.
Can I also say something that may or may not make me a giant bleep hole?
Okay.
How should I phrase this? Is it bad of me to find joy in hearing those numbers you just gave me? Because I love nothing more than when a really bad woke idea goes horribly, horribly wrong.
Well, they do have that adage, get woke and go broke, right?
Which is true.
And it's proving out to be for Nike. Nike's getting killed, right? Because actually the same person, they gave which is weird. And okay, I normally don't like to get terribly political, right? But they gave this
Unless
person...
the microphones aren't on.
Yes. They gave this person, Dylan, the same person that's on the Bud Light can, they gave this transgender female, Dylan, and you've seen Dylan all over the place, right? You've seen, she's been met the president and all this stuff. And actually, I've watched some YouTube videos of her, and seems like an okay person, right?
Sure.
It's not
I don't care.
She's got a pretty decent personality. She's kind of funny.
I don't give a damn.
But what I don't get is Nike gave her a sports bra and leggings contract, paid her $26,000 to do a video where she was wearing Nike sports bras and yoga pants, right? And the video is so embarrassing to women, because she's flopping around like she's a 12-year-old girl going, like pretending to work out, but like swinging her hands in the air weird. And if I were a female athlete, I'd say that's not what female athletes do. We aren't prancing 12-year-old, it's so weird. It's not, when I think of Nike, I think of performance, right? I think of Michael Jordan. I think at the top of the line. I don't think of this person who isn't an athlete. Dylan's not an athlete. That's not who should be, athletes should be wearing Nike.
Well, look at exactly what's happening with Riley Gaines. Are you familiar with Riley Gaines?
Riley, this is a perfect example. She should be a Nike.
This is the exact opposite approach of what brands should be taking, where now we're pivoting from Riley Gaines is a female swimmer who came out against, why can't it? Because Joe's brought up
Leah Thomas
about the uncomfortable nature with which Leah Thomas was placed into their locker room without their consent, and how it made them uncomfortable, and
walking around naked,
and then also by saying, well, we didn't ask for this, and oh, by the way, then Leah Thomas just comes and barely beats Riley Gaines, who was supposed to be the national champion, and she has now become the bad guy in the eyes of so many.
We're punching her in the head.
My point is, what's your plan with all of this here? Because I love the fact that this backfired, and I love the fact that a lot of other companies now are going to say, "Hold on a minute,
wait,"
because you, I, and so many others are going to say, "Hey, Dylan Mulvaney, you go ahead and be trans. Go right ahead. Just stop shoving all of this down my throat." Yeah,
because
it's going to cost you, and it's going to affect your bottom line.
You can't blame Dylan.
No,
you can't blame Dylan.
I don't care.
And I'm just thinking, what marketing person says, let's alienate a huge percentage of the population. Maybe not even a majority, just a plurality but maybe our drinkers, if they think we're old and frat boys, they probably would say, well, geez, let's put maybe Michael Jordan on the bottle. Because maybe we'd sell some of those.
Don't have anyone.
Or just don't have anyone. Just keep cashing your Bud Light checks. They said this 1 week of lost sales for Bud Light, it's just been 1 week so far, and it's going to last a long time. But because I think when someone else tries something different than Bud Light, they might say, oh, there's other beers that are okay. right? Because I'm sure a Bud Light drinker has been a Bud Light drinker for a long time. All they have to do is lose some of those quality long-term
and
drinkers.
remember what these numbers will somewhat resonate with you, because I remember talking to somebody when we were doing the beer show, and when a company of this size is so cyclical, meaning they're not planning for next week's sales in this particular work week.
Yep.
They're planning for December, right? That's how far ahead that they're looking in terms of production costs and inventory and all of those things. When you have that dramatic of a shift, because it's not going to be just this week.
Yeah, it's going to last.
This hangover is going to be with them for quite some time. And I remember when we were talking to somebody that was associated with a major brand, and I don't remember which one, so I'm not going to try to remember. But they had said, "Oh, we lost 3% of sale," and I'm thinking, "Oh, that's not that.
That's not
well, no,
bad.
that's huge for
Yeah,
them."
billions of dollars, or hundreds of millions.
When you're
of dollars.
talking about, and I think it had to do with the transition from trying to focus less on beer and maybe a seltzer or whatever it was, but the shift was a 3% change, and that didn't seem like a big deal to me, but to them, that's a huge deal.
Oh yeah, you don't want to decline. And it sounds like Bud Light's sales have been declining for years. There's a lot of options. It might be that a lot of people are still drinking Bud Light, but they're drinking seltzers, whatever. But why stab it in the heart and kill it off? There's a great quote from the St. Louis hospitality consultant that says, "Sometimes you just want to drink a beer without getting a lecture on social or political commentary
Perfect.
or someone's sexual orientation.
Perfect.
You just want to have a Bud Light." So, okay, you know how sometimes on Garage Logic we read a story like this and then we just leave and we're just pissed? What I want to do is look at the silver lining. The silver lining is when you go to the grocery store next week or go to the liquor store, Bud Light's going to be cheap, right? It's going to be on sale everywhere to get people back. So if you're a Bud Light drinker, which I drink Bud Light, it's going to be very easy to say.
You do not.
I 100% I'll drink Bud Light.
Oh, okay.
I'll even drink Mick Ultra. I actually like Mick Ultra because it's like drinking beer-flavored water.
And now that it's going to be like $3 for a case, you are
yeah,
definitely going to drink.
I might even get a couple of cases, right? If it's because what I'm saying is my politics is not quite as important as a good deal on a case of Bud Light.
That's a good point.
Yeah. So
Because you're a bottom line guy.
I'm a bottom line guy. If I can save $3, go ahead, put anybody on the bottle. I don't care.
Because there's so many people that I follow that were retweeting this video with their own personal social commentary. And one of the lines that I loved was, "Oh my goodness, I can't believe that this was literally put out on social media." As in, look at us, look at how progressive we are.
Yep.
And the first that I thought that came to mind was, dear God, they're committing suicide.
You just watch them kill themselves through marketing.
Yeah.
And I wonder where it will go. Like, what will actually happen? How long will this last?
Oh, with that, and I'm not trying to generalize, but people that have those types of options, because I'll be honest, a lot of my beer drinker circle, I don't remember a lot of them even drinking this in the first place.
Sure.
But that kind of stuff will stay with you for a while.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you watch, they're going to go hire The Rock. Or they're going to go hire somebody
what
to
it is
bring back
it's
their
the
label.
one thing that someone can do if they feel like they've been slighted. They can say, "Hey, I'm not going to drink that anymore." Right?
Okay.
I was listening to another podcast with.
How dare you?
Yeah, it's a guy that invented the Proud Boys, right?
Okay.
And the Proud Boys get this image of being neo-Nazis and really they're all over the board. They're really bad people. And some of the members of the Proud Boys were asking this guy saying, "Hey, we have to boycott Bud Light." And he goes, "No. What we have to do is we have to be associated with Bud Light every second because people hate us so badly that if they see us drinking Bud Light, they're going to say, Bud Light's for neo-Nazis. So he's like, our team, the Proud Boys, aren't going to stop drinking Bud Light. We're going to start wearing Bud Light shirts.
We're going to be posing
Yeah, we're going to be
everywhere with
posing
it.
everywhere. And I thought,
so that way everybody's mad.
Everybody's mad. Everybody will be mad at Bud Light.
All right. Did you get your Bud Light sentiments off?
I did. And again, if we have to call our friends from Elevated Beer Wines and Spirits and see if they're throwing Bud Lights on. We should have talked to them about this story.
That's a great point.
Because that would be really interesting to see.
Because we've already got some hard data for this week. Maybe we should check in with them next week.
See how sales are going on Bud Light.
Have they rebounded or whatever?
We'll find out.
All right. So kind of a left turn here, but something I wanted to bring up with you because I think I know you fairly well. So I'm not going to get back into the massive road trip that I took, but something happened, and I'm wondering if you or others, if this happens to you as well. So I love music, all forms, all genres. I don't care if it's great. In fact, I refuse to let Joe listen to the Mavericks version of Hank Ain't Done It This Way. No, what's the name of that song? Joe. He's gone already. So I'm driving home a week ago Saturday, and I'm listening to a lot of satellite radio, which I'm allowed to say because I'm no longer affiliated with a radio station.
Well, we are, but
you know what I'm saying. I always kid, but there's a couple of channels that I love on satellite radio, and when you're in the middle of nowhere,
that's all you can
satellite
get.
radio is great because it never goes out of radar. What the hell? Okay, I'm sorry, I'm spacing.
Out of reach.
Anyway.
Yeah.
So I was flipping around, and then of course you get kind of bored, so you just start to scan, right? And one of the country stations that I listen to is called The Highway, and I listen to it because they will have newer artists on before pretty much everybody else. Okay, and they happen to be featuring huge megastar Luke Combs. Okay, which I'm familiar with him and kind of dig a couple of his songs. But they did this like deep dive, sit in the studio for 4 hours. I mean, I had this on because I was in the car forever.
You're driving, yeah.
So they had him in for what seemed like 2 or 3 hours, where he'd interview, he'd play a song, they'd do an interview because he had a new album coming out, and so which is ahead of some massive tour that he's kicking off, I believe, this weekend in Nashville. So I'm listening to this, and it's great because I'd never really heard him interviewed before. And he's got some depth to him, you know, as far as his songwriting. And I didn't realize this. He writes pretty much all of his own stuff. Really? To the point where he also writes songs for other country artists, which I thought was kind of cool.
Yeah, that is cool.
So, and the reason I'm bringing this up is an artist will grab me based upon individual choices that they make. So they featured a song that he covered, and this happens to be a song that I absolutely love for reasons I'm not going to get into. But he covered Tracy Chapman's song "Fast Car." Are you familiar with that song?
Of course.
Which is a great song.
Absolutely.
And so they had mentioned that. Well, let's get to the cover. And why did you decide to do the cover? And I'm thinking, oh, great, he's covering, some whatever. And then they mentioned the song. I go, well, wait a minute, what now? Yeah. And then he played it. Mike.
Good.
Not only was it good, I thought it was great to the point where I'm like, oh my God, I'm like tearing up. Yeah. It was so good, it made me a fan of him.
Really?
Yes.
Well, that's cool.
But the line that got me with him, because a lot of times what artists will do is if they do decide to cover a song, and I get why they do it. I'm not ripping artists for doing this, but they tend to change some of the lyrics to kind of make it their own. Mm-hmm. And he didn't change a single word. Okay. And his quote was, "Why would I ruin Tracy's perfect song?"
Sure.
And I went,
there you go.
Damn.
Oh, that's cool.
Okay, I like this because he's got a couple other songs that I dig a lot. Yeah. But I just thought, I wonder if that's happened to other where they. Oh yeah, I've heard of that guy, but then you hear one specific performance. Sure. And I used to work in music radio, so that would happen to me quite a bit. Where, if for instance, you're going to make fun of me, but I don't care. Do you remember the band Five for Fighting?
Sure.
Okay. I was at a remote studio performance by them right before they blew up. Okay. Because they blew up when, what's his name? John Andrasik, I believe is the lead singer's name. Mm-hmm. He performed their hit song at a 9/11 tribute, and that just made those guys take off. So we were at this, and he played a kind song.
Of a bad,
Yeah, that was kind of a bad play on words, and I apologize for that.
Skyrocket.
Offended. So anyway, but they had performed this, and I was watching them do this acoustic version of the song, and I melted. I went, oh my God, these guys are great. Anyway, so that's happened to me from time to time, but this one was just like, I never thought, here's some country bumpkin superstar.
He is a country boy.
But for sure.
Yeah.
And that's his bread and butter. But when he performed this song, it showed me, he's got some depth to him, which I thought was cool.
That is very cool. So he comes to town May 13th.
I know, I saw that.
And for as little as $280, you can get general admission floor seats.
So I was having this conversation on Sunday with my nephew. He's actually my godson because he went to the Red Hot Chili Peppers on last Saturday at U.S. Bank.
I'm going to tell you, he said it was great.
He loved it.
He loved it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because he's 18 or 19. Wait, I'm trying to do the math. He's about to turn 19. And I've said, of course you loved it.
I saw them the last time they were here.
Sure.
Right? I saw them in 1989. I'm making that up, like way back when.
Sure.
And then I saw them. They look the same. They sound the same. They move the same. I was like, how is that possible? It
Sure.
looks like they didn't age. And those guys played rough for a long time.
This has nothing against the Chili Peppers.
Yeah.
I just hate U.S. Bank Stadium as a venue.
Sure.
For a couple of reasons. Number one, unless you are on the floor and have great seats, the sound is god-awful.
It's acoustically horrible.
Even though it has improved slightly, it's still really bad.
It's that glass ceiling.
And I don't like being at concerts that are that. And I've attended at least 5 at US Bank. And it's because, well, that's your only option. I went to see the Stones very last minute. Well, there's not another option. That's where they're playing. And I want to say I saw the Stones, right? But it's just, I just despise that venue. And nothing against it. You're a big, giant football stadium. You're not supposed to have good acoustics, but that's where a guy like Luke Combs is going to play.
Yeah, I mean, that's where they have to because they're going to sell so many seats. Hey, do you have a favorite concert? I'm trying to think of my favorite concert. I had one really cool experience. One time I was invited to go see Ed Sheeran, right? And it was a couple other artists and Ed Sheeran. And at that point in time, I did not know who Ed Sheeran was, but I was with somebody who had a lot of power at this venue. So it was me and someone, I can't remember who I was with, and we're standing like behind Ed Sheeran in the back of the stage, but like 6 feet behind him, not 80 feet or 20 feet. We're just like kind of on the stage with him. And I was like, and I don't know if I even heard of him at that point. Maybe he had one song, and I was like, this kid is unbelievable. And I remember saying to the person I was with, like, I don't think they're going to, I mean, he's a redhead that looks, he's not like a super handsome kid, right? And I just thought, I don't know how far he's going to go. Was I wrong?
Yeah.
I mean, that kid is a mega talent.
Yeah.
I mean, and a great writer.
I guess not one that really sticks out. And again, when you work in the business, you get access to stuff that people just normally don't. So I get it. I'm jaded and I'm biased. And to be honest, I haven't been to a concert. Well, I guess I went to the Stones, but the bride and I went to go see Stapleton with George Strait because I wanted to watch Chris Stapleton because I'm a huge fan. But one that sticks out in particular, I did go to U2 with the mayor and my pregnant wife.
Oh, that would have been cool.
Where that was the one that was at the Gopher Stadium.
Okay.
Where
it rained
which was fantastic.
Cool. Yep.
To the point where my poor wife was, let's see, this would have been July of 2011. So she was 6 months pregnant. 6 months pregnant with my now 11-year-old son.
Okay.
And Joe gets up about, halfway to 2/3 through the show, and she said, "Oh, Joe," he's like, "Yeah, I'm just going to run to the bathroom." And she said, "Oh, would you mind getting me a water?"
Oh, no.
"Oh, sure." And then he walked away, and I'm laughing. And then he walked away, and she said, "Oh," I go, "Honey, we're never seeing
coming
him.
back.
We're not seeing him again." And she said, "Well, he said he." I know he said that.
Yeah,
but
he's gone. He's long gone.
He's
Yeah.
already out of here.
Yeah.
That was pretty fun.
He wants to get a trip out. So U2 has a concert series coming up at the Sphere.
Yeah.
That looks cool.
And super cheap.
Yeah. I mean, so if you don't know what I'm talking about, if you're a listener, in Vegas, they built this $1 billion bowl.
How many people does it seat?
Thousands, like 4,000 or something, 5,000.
Okay.
It's making that 68 is what I'm thinking. I'm going to look that up now because I'm coming up with 68, which seems like a lot.
Why?
I don't know. So they have this sphere. It's a perfect round ball, and you sit inside of it.
Yep.
And it is almost a 360 immersive experience.
Okay.
So it's not only a concert, and they have like 10,000 speakers, and the whole ceiling is a video screen, the whole sphere.
Okay.
And it's going to be, I think it's just getting done right now. Have you heard of this thing?
I think I have seen photos of the construction project of said venue.
I mean, it's going to be unbelievable.
Because isn't it close to the Raiders Stadium?
I think it's right off the strip.
Yeah. I thought that's what I saw.
Let's see seating. Let's see capacity.
But you know me, I'm not a big Vegas guy. And it has nothing to do with if I'm not anti-gambling, I'm not anti-fun. I'm anti-Reuvers in Vegas because I know me.
I know me too. That's why I don't love it either. It actually seats 17,500, so I was off with my 68. But think of that. So 17,000 people in a round ball, couple hundred feet in the air. I mean, it's like huge. I mean, it's way taller than a couple hundred feet in the air, but depending on where you're sitting, the ceiling could be way above you.
Yeah.
And I think U2, they've always been super progressive with backdrops, and, the Octoon Beatty concert was super.
Yeah.
And remember Discotheque, that tour?
Sure.
With the big ball that they had, or the big lemon that spun around. I can't remember. Maybe that was lemon. I can't remember. But they've always done big things like that. And this is going to be so crazy to see this thing. It's at the Venetian. So it's right next to the Venetian in Vegas. So it's right downtown.
Okay.
Or right on the Strip.
Okay.
It's going to be really cool. I think I had said to my wife, I'm like, hey, should we go to this? And she said, I don't like you too. And I said, no, say that a little slower. Because I thought she said, I don't like you too. Like that's all like, and I said, do you mean I don't like you also?
I don't like you in addition to everybody else.
Yes.
Got it.
So I was unsure. And she said, no, she doesn't like the band U2. And I said, oh, but would you go with me just to go see it? Because I would really like to go see a concert in there. I remember going to one of those, those movie theaters that is all immersive, the IMAX theaters.
Oh, yeah.
And we were sitting down. I was sitting with my little kids, and the movie hasn't started. My youngest daughter turns to me. She goes, I'm going to throw up.
Oh, no.
I said, no, it hasn't even started yet. You gotta wait. I said, just calm down. Just calm down.
Everything
and then it was
okay.
one of those nature things where we're flying through the Amazon or something. She's like, this is the best. I'm like, just looking around to see who she's going to puke on. I'm like, that's okay. That's pretty good. Did you guys have any big stories on Garage Logic today?
That's a great question. We did.
You can't remember them, and you just did it.
Remember a single thing.
You literally just did it.
We just got done. Here, I'll pull up the. We had an update from the great city of San Francisco.
Oh,
in which Whole Foods has decided that I know we've only been open for 1 year, but this is not sustainable, so we're closing our doors here.
Are you kidding me?
And offering jobs to all the current employees. We're gonna offer them jobs elsewhere.
Yeah.
To the point where, and I mentioned this, and I don't think it garnered the reaction on the show the way that I thought it would, because I don't know why, but I'm utterly kind of maybe back to the when woke makes you go broke.
Yeah, go woke, get broke.
Because that's essentially what's happening in San Francisco is it's woke politics ruining the city, to the point where I've become utterly fascinated with the disintegration of the city, not taking joy in it, just saying, well, we're not that far behind in some respects.
Or why do it? So who wins by having a city get destroyed?
Exactly. So to the point where I follow a woman by the name of Michelle Tandler. I believe she is a journalist in San Francisco, but she's one of those people that has had her eyes opened about progressive policy and, hey, we need to do something here. Yeah. So there's also another reporter by the name of Andy No who likes to stir it up. I will fully admit that. But Andy posts real videos and things that you can see with your own two eyes of a woman, Mike, on the streets of San Francisco, the drug-riddled streets of San Francisco, giving birth.
Are you kidding me?
In which firefighters had to come to her aid. And I'm thinking, this isn't normal. This is not the world in which all of us grew up and wanted to thrive in. Like we took a left turn sometime where people are losing it. Yeah, and I get it. Addiction's a horrible, horrible thing. I get that. These people need help.
Yes.
This whole notion of we need to find sustainable housing and shut up. Yeah. This isn't about this guy's going to take his $1,000 and use it as a down payment. He's going to use it to buy drugs.
And he's just killing himself faster.
Let's stop pretending that this is something other than what it is. And that's what makes me so angry is it's not easy, but it's such an easy answer. But there's so many people who are unwilling to admit that. And if you have the idea of trying to force people into treatment, you're the bad guy. Yeah. I almost said the F word. Yeah. Bleep you. Yeah. That's what else? Then what's your plan? Because guess what? It ain't working.
No, if you take this down to if your son or daughter were addicted to drugs and you saw them on the side of the road begging for money, would you say, here's $1,000, go get yourself an apartment? You'd say, ooh, I got to do something different than that, because if I hand you $1,000, you're going to go kill yourself with drugs. And it is really odd when I see people on the side of the road in the Twin Cities. I feel compassion for people, right? I don't want, if you're mentally ill, it's a huge problem. But every time someone gives an obvious drug addict money, I think, what are you doing? Why don't you give them one more bullet for the gun that they have, right? I mean, you're killing that person by giving them money. And I always have this adage that, let's say you were a mild drug user, right? And you just kind of were down on your luck, and you found out that you could beg and sustain life with just, you could get your drugs, and you could kind of have a tent to live in or whatever. And if you couldn't pick up that $30 or $40 or $50 begging every day, you would have to call back your brother that you haven't talked to for 3 years and say, hey, Tom, can I please sleep in your basement? I promise you I won't do anything. It might force you to try to do something other than drugs. Yep. But if you can just keep going on this horrible, horrible trajectory of more and more drugs having less effect on your body, it's just not good. And seeing that every day is heartbreaking. And as a society, when we allow people just to live in a tent on the side of the street, that is just brutal in my mind, that we would have that lack of compassion for people.
Well, and that's the thing. It's the idea of hiding behind, well, I'm part of the group that has compassion for all, that's allowing them. No, you're not. You're
killing those people.
You're killing these people and hiding behind the idea that, well, we're the ones that are nurturing, and we're the ones that are, and I'm so sick of disingenuous behavior, especially from the political class. And it happens on both sides.
Sure.
So I'm not an idiot. I get that. But this, I could go on, and I don't want to, but I could go on for hours about this because it makes me so angry.
Kenny from Garage Logic made a joke about, we're all worried about a war with China. And Kenny's like, I'm not worried for 1 second because China's winning. They just have to be patient for 3 more years, right? Or whatever it takes. And I wonder if people in China get videos of San Francisco and say, what is going on in America?
Yeah, we're good. We don't want that.
Yeah, I don't even know if we want the United States. I don't know if we, this is not good. And it seems like at some point in time, Americans will be fleeing to Mexico. Maybe in our lifetime, we'll say, hey, you know what? Well, let's get south of the border. Something needs to be.
Well, because you guys, I would assume, study these types of metrics, because there was a piece, I don't remember which publication, but how the Twin Cities Metro, it was basically, I think, a top of the top 20 markets. We were one of 5 where population in the 2 major counties, Hennepin and Ramsey, both declined over the last, I believe it was 3 years.
Yeah, so that's a problem.
And they started with due to the pandemic, which I get completely, because a lot of people decided, I can work from home now, or I can do whatever from. But I know you are the one that tries to talk me off this ledge. I just don't see how these cities, and I'm just talking about my city. I love Minneapolis. I love the Twin Cities. I don't see how and when it's coming back.
Yeah, I was just in downtown right before I came here. Looked great. Everything looked fine in downtown. Uptown looked great. I mean, everything, it's busy in Uptown, right?
Sure.
But it just felt and looked good. I don't know, but 3% population decrease means I do 3% less business.
Right.
We just have 3% less people. And I know that's super simplistic, but roughly that.
And you're not making it about you and your store, but you're just that's your metric that you use.
You're just going to do roughly 3% less. Just fat math says you're going to do 3% less. That's not sustainable. But when we talk about tone deaf marketing, I remember when Minneapolis came out with Minneapolis, see what all the fuss is about or whatever. Well, it was some key. It's like how the fuss is people are dying on the streets by cars running over people from racing in the middle of the night. It's like that. Who makes that? How tone deaf are you that you say, see what all the fuss is about?
Oddly enough, I was just going to send this story to Joe for tomorrow's broadcast, but to hell with it. I'll bring it up on our show. There is a new ad campaign. I don't know if you're familiar with this, and I don't know who's involved, but it does involve the city of Minneapolis, where we're going to spend money to buy advertising. Hey, I'm here. You want Reuvers to endorse you? I'm ready.
There you go.
Guess what the advertising campaign is, Michael? Make sure you bring your keys with you out of your car.
Oh, yeah.
Because, it's your fault that your car is getting stolen.
Well, with all due respect, if you're dumb enough to leave your keys
you deserve
in their
car stolen.
But I don't think advertising, because if you're doing that, you're not able to read. Because if you're in Minneapolis and you leave your car, your keys in your car, I mean, many cars that are stolen are running, right? Yeah. Or the keys are just sitting there. Come on now. You can't blame Kia for that if you leave the keys in your car.
To the point where the woman I'm married to, one day I went. Oh, I remember I went to go wash and fill up her car, and so I got into it and I said, "What?" I said, "Hey, honey, your billfold is in your door."
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's where I keep it.
No,
What?
Yeah. When you go to work?
I said, "So you go to work and that's where it sits?" And she said, "Well, yeah, that way it's just easy. So when I pick, no,
you can't do that.
You don't do that here.
No.
You got to bring that with you." Well, no one's. Yes, someone is going to eventually.
Yeah, it will eventually happen, and then they'll say, "I can't believe that happened." You wonder. So we're sitting in a marketing meeting, and someone says, "Hey, let's do this marketing plan that says keep your keys out of your car, bring your keys with you.
Sure.
It's going to cost us $39,000." And someone says, "Okay, what's the ROI on that? What's that return on investment?" And then someone says, "Well, how many people is that going to change their minds? How many people? Where are we going to? Oh, we're going to play it on NPR." Okay, so that's a $39,000 ad buy for
It's
NPR.
going to run on channel, name it.
Yeah.
459 or 11.
I mean,
whatever.
when is that going to play? Like, I mean, it's I don't know who okays that, and when did the I don't want to say when did the government get into marketing?
I don't know if you're paying attention,
Yeah.
but I don't think anybody asks where the money's being spent
Yeah,
anymore.
I think someone eventually will want to do
Somebody,
that. We were talking about hey, maybe you can give me an update on the governor. Did he not rent that house anymore?
I don't remember
because
the
that
update
house
on
is
that.
now, I think, back up on the market for sale. McFadden's place.
Okay.
So it's up for sale for $3 million. So I thought maybe because they obviously can't sell it if the governor's living there.
I'm
right?
trying to remember which legislator brought this up, but it was a state legislator here in the state of Minnesota that basically called this legislative session the hold my beer session because it's one
Whatever
thing
you
after
want.
another.
Yep.
It's a free-for-all. Anyway.
Yeah. But yet they're still raising taxes to fill potholes, which they should already be doing. I didn't think that was that egregious of a story for the governor to live in a $17,000 a month house. I didn't think that was that egregious. Mm-hmm. It's a big house. That's what the governor's mansion would cost you if you rented the governor's mansion. It would probably be $30,000 a month.
Maybe.
Yeah. I don't know. Are you looking it up?
I was trying to find what the tweet that I saw, but I couldn't find it. Anyway, well, that was fun.
Hey, we went deep. I want to apologize about that.
Why?
Because this was supposed to be GL Light. Now, you know what it's never going to be? It's never going to be GL Bud Light.
No, you're definitely right there. But in all honesty, I can't remember if this came up during the show or after the show, before the show or whatever. It's impossible to keep up with the madness.
Yeah.
It just is.
Yep.
And it's almost, I don't want to.
That's why you have this show.
I don't want to be bummed out by every single thing that I read, but that's what's happening right now.
Yeah.
And it's too bad.
Well,
anyway.
no, but we can do some things. We
Yes.
can buy our Bud Light on sale.
That's
We can
right.
go ahead. Did you do any snow blowing of piles of snow in your yard with your shirt off like I did?
I did not.
I filmed it for my children. They thought it was so cool. I was snow blowing
How long ago?
2 days ago because it was so warm outside.
You had that much snow left?
Oh, yeah. I have a dark side of the house that is, I have one pile that's 8 foot tall.
Okay.
It's just tall as can be. I'm not touching that, but I was snowblowing in this deck area where I'm like, only in Minnesota do I have a pair of shorts on. I had Crocs, shorts, no shirt, and I'm snowblowing, taking videos for my kids.
I shoveled once in shorts and a T-shirt,
There
but
you
not
go.
shirtless.
I thought shirtless added a little je ne sais quoi. I don't know either.
Look at you.
Yeah.
Michael, thank you so much.
Reuvers, you're the best.
Please do us a favor, rate and review the show wherever you happen to be listening to the Weekly Scramble. We would greatly appreciate it. His name is Mike Frattallone with Frattallone's Hardware and Garden Stores, and my name is Chris Reuvers. We will talk to you again next week. Until then, cheers.